Hey guys, Dr. Brown here, and tonight we're looking at performing a video for Tarlac National High School students that I met today. Rael, Mizrak, Jam, Roden, and Leah. And I apologize for my name, sorry. At circle segments. That's what they at SM Mall would have and dedicate a video to Rael, Jam, Leah, Mizrak, and Roden. Here we go. All right. So they were looking at circles and segments. So let's look at the equation for a circle. Now we always talk about, as I did today, x squared plus y squared equals, r squared, or equals 1 if it's a unit circle. Okay, but if you'll remember the formulation in this form, it really helps. And as we work through some problems, you'll see why. Okay, x minus h parentheses squared plus y minus k parentheses squared equals the radius squared. Now what is h and k? That represents the center of the circle. Because not all circles are at the origin where it's 0, 0. They may be somewhere else. So I have a few problems here. Let's work through that. Oh, but before we do, this came up today, and I want to just look at a few rules that are out there, and you need to memorize these, okay? All right, when you multiply a negative times a negative, that equals a positive. If you multiply a negative times a positive, that equals a negative. A positive times a negative, that equals a negative. And a positive times a positive equals a positive. You'll notice when the signs are different and you're multiplying two numbers, like if you have a minus 3 times a positive 5. Well, that's a negative 15. A negative times a positive is a negative. Okay, and it could have been if I had a positive 5 times a negative 3. Okay, so it's a positive times a negative, which would have been this one. Well, it's still a negative 15. All right. When you're adding, if I'm adding a negative plus a negative, well, that looks like a positive sound. I'm adding negative plus a negative, okay? Let me pause. Okay, I went ahead and wrote the chart down. So if let's say I have minus a positive. The reason I'm doing this, let's say we have a y and x. If I have a number here, let's say I have the number 5. Or let me do this first one. I have a minus a positive. Minus a positive. So if I have 5 and I'm subtracting 3 from it, let's say. 5 minus 3 we know is 2. So I would have 2. But if you always change, and this is negatives and this is positive. Negative this way, positive that way. Minus a positive, 5 minus a positive 2. 5 minus a positive 2, that number is positive, is the same as 5 plus a negative 2. If I always change this to plus, the sign of the next number tells me which direction to go. Now, minus a positive, we don't have a problem with that. But minus a negative, that's one of my kryptonites, by the way. Okay, let's try that a different way. 5 minus a negative 2. I heard people today getting tripped up on that. Okay, minus a negative. If I change minus a negative to plus a positive, 5 minus a negative 2 is 5 plus a positive 2 is 7. That to me is not intuitively obvious, okay? So I memorized the multiplication on positive and negatives, and I memorized the adding so that I didn't get tripped up with that one in particular. The rest of them's not so bad. Okay? One more set of rules and then we'll move on. Exponentials. If I have a to the m times a to the n, the rule says that's a to the m plus n. So if I have 3 squared, oh, and by the way, a to the m in itself means a times a m times. So if this is a to the 3rd power, it means this base, this number, times itself 3 times. I heard people get tripped up on that. So that's what an exponent means. So if I have 3 squared, it means 3 times itself 2 times. So 3 squared is 9. 3 cubed, 3 to the 3rd power, 3 times itself 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 3 cubed is 27. Okay? So remember this, and you could challenge yourself with this. Let's say I have 2 to the 3rd power times 2 to the 2nd power. Okay, what is that? 2 times itself. Well, let's use this rule. That's a to the m plus n. So that's 2 times the 3 plus 2 is 2 to the 5th power. Now, if you're on a quiz and you don't remember the rule, okay, you have to remember this is 2 times itself 3 times. 2 times 2 times 2. And this is 2 times itself 2 times. Times 2 times 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that's 2 to the 5th power. Hey, wow, it worked out. Okay, so remember these sets of rules. There's other exponential rules, but just remember those for now. Okay? And a to the m is a times itself m times. That looks bad. Just remember that one. All right. Let's get on with what we have here. All right, so problem number 1, I wrote them down and then they're in not the order of importance, so I numbered them in the order of importance. This is our easy one here. Find the radius of x squared plus y squared equal 25. Find the radius and the center of that circle. Now, we have x squared plus y squared equal 25. So what is that? X minus 0 squared. That's the only way I can get x squared. Plus y minus 0. That's the only way squared. That's the only way I can get y squared. Well, that equals, what did it say? 25, which is 5 squared. 5 squared, okay? That's 25. So I know my radius equals 5. What else do I know? My center, put your hand over x minus and just read what is that term right there. Put your hand over y minus, what is that term? So the center of this circle is 0, 0. Nothing to that one. Radius is 5. Center is 0, 0. All right. I'll check them off as we go. Number 2, find the center of circle and radius, center of the circle and its radius, of x minus 2 squared, x minus 2 squared, plus y plus 1 squared, and that equals 25 also. Well, we know square root of 25, r is 5, so we know that. So I'll put it over here. R equals 5. X minus 2, put your hand over the x minus. That's that term. But what about this one? Y plus 1. I don't have a y minus k or minus something. So I can do this. Y minus k equals y plus 1. And solve for k. All right. If I subtract y from both sides, y minus k minus y equals y plus 1 minus y. The y's cancel. Y minus y. I have minus k equals 1. I don't want to know what minus k is. I want to know what k is. So I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 1. So 1 times a negative 1 gives me negative 1. Well, positive times a negative. Where was it? Positive times a negative equals a negative. So I have a negative 1. Negative times negative. Negative times negative is a positive. I have a positive k. K equals negative 1. All right. So all of this means x minus 2 squared plus y minus a negative 1. Y minus k. K is negative 1. Squared equals 5 squared. Now then, put your hand over y minus, what is that term? It's negative 1. So the center of my circle is 2 and negative 1. If I'm the teacher, they could do this right here and trip you up. But you can just say, okay, y plus 1 equals y minus k, solve for k. You can do it. All right, 2 down. That's number 2. Number 3, find the equation of the circle if the radius equals 3 and the center is 2, negative 5. What does it mean? All right, so radius equals 3, and then we have 2, negative 5. Oh, center of the circle, what is that? That's h and k. So h equals 2, k equals negative 5. We can do this. Here we have x minus h, which is 2 squared, plus y minus, and what is k? Negative 5 squared equals, radius is 3, so that's equals 3 squared. All right, so what were we trying to do here? They were trying to find the equation. So we almost have it. X minus 2 squared plus, what's minus a negative? Minus a negative is plus a positive. So that becomes y plus 5 squared equals 9. So that would be the equation when I have radius equal 3 and the center of the circle is 2, negative 5. Okay? See, it's not that difficult. Just have to work problems, learn the rules. You know, when you play a card game, people say, well, how do I play? And you learn the rules. But for some reason, when people sit down to do math, they don't learn the rules. Oh, let's go work some math. And then they screw it up because they don't learn the rules. And there's a lot of rules. And I'm a rules guy if you look through my videos. All right, number 4. We have several problems in this one. Find the radius and center. We have x minus 3 squared plus y squared equals 16. So that's r squared. Square root of that's 3. So I know my radius, 4. Square root of 16 is 4. So radius equals 4. What about this guy? My center is going to be x minus 3 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals 4 squared. So put your hand over the x minus what's left. In this case, a positive 3. X minus what's left is 0. So my radius is 4. The center of this thing is 3, 0. X and y. Well, that's not bad. Okay. What about the next one? X squared plus y squared equals 5. Now they're trying to trick you here because we've worked a lot of problems where we had 25 and the square root was 5. Now in this case, r squared equals 5. If I take the square root of both sides, r equals the square root of 5. Okay. Now then in this case, I have x minus 0 plus y minus 0 equals square root of 5 squared, r squared. So I know, cover up the x minus, what's left? 0. Cover up y minus, what's left? 0. So r is square root of 5, and the center of this thing is at the origin at 0, 0. Okay. All right, so we have, I better check them. As I get older, I lose track of where I am. All right, x squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 4. Now, the only way to get this one, x minus 0 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals the square root of 4, which is 2 squared. So my radius equals 2. Cover up x minus, what's left? 0. Cover up y minus, what's left? Positive 2. So there we are. So my radius is 2. The center of the circle is 0, 2. All right. All right, x plus 3 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals, oh, I didn't write down what it equals. Wow. Well, we'll have to skip that one. Sorry. But the point of this one, we'll just say it equals r squared. Keep going. What we don't know, r equals square root of r squared. That's all we know. What about this one here? It's not x minus, it's x plus. So we have to go back to x plus 3 equals x minus h. Solve for h. So we have x plus 3 minus x equals x minus h minus x. So the x's cancel. So 3, a positive 3 equals a negative h. Multiply both sides by negative 1, so I get a negative 3 equals h. Okay, what does that mean? I have x minus, so I'm trying to get into my formula, and h is a negative 3. Squared plus y minus 4 squared, now equals, I forgot to write my r down, so anyway, equals r squared. So what do we know about the center of this thing? Cover up x minus, what's left? A -3. Cover up y minus, what's left? +4. So if this were on a graph, and I love to graph, because you can solve all problems if you can graph it. Just keep that in mind. That's one way to solve all problems. This center of this circle is -3, 1, 2, 3, and +4. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. So this thing, the center of this thing would be right here. So whatever that radius was, that's where that circle would be. -3, 4. Okay. Hopefully I didn't forget to write something down on the rest of these. I have to go back to that one later. All right, number 5. The center of circle with points 1, 8. So the P is 1, that point is 1 at x equals 1, y equals 8. And Q, the other end of that point, of that segment, is 5, -6. And those represent the endpoints on a diameter. So let's think about what that looks like. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. 1, 8. The point 1, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so that is the point 1, 8. Then the next one is 5, -6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is negative. And that's the point 5, -6. So this was our Q, this was our P. And what they're saying is, if I can draw a straight line here, you have to have a little bit of an imagination with my graphic skills. All right, it says that represents a diameter. So if that's a diameter, I've got some center of that thing, which is the center of my circle, and that circle, that looks like a smashed potato, but you get the idea. The center of this circle is here. That would be the radius of my circle. So there's radius of this thing, and that's the radius, which is the center of that diameter. Now then, what's that point? Because our formula, I need a H and a K to be able to work with this. So how do I find that segment, that radius? Oh, well, since it's the center of this line, I can just divide that by 2. Now there's various ways to do this. Today you had a formula of PQ. You could calculate the length of that line and then divide it by 2. You could do that. Another way, well, once you have it divided by 2, you'll just know the radius, but you won't know where that radius is located. So why don't we do it this way? We have an x value here and an x value there. 1 plus 5 divided by 2 is going to give me 1 point. 1 and 5, both of those. And then 8 plus a -6 divided by 2 is going to give me another point. So 6 divided by 2, 1 plus 5 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 plus a negative 6. 8 plus a negative 6 means 2, right? Plus a negative is the same plus a negative. So 8 plus a negative 6. It's going toward the negative side. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So this would be the point. Hey, whoa, I drew that almost correct. 3, 1. Wow, how about that? Okay, so that's the point of HK. So what can I do now? I have x minus 3 squared plus y minus 1 squared, and that equals my radius squared. Okay, we're trying to get the equation of this circle. I'm almost there. 3 and 1 would be my center, but what's my radius? Well, I have some points here. Let's do this 1, 8. So x is 1. 1 minus 3 squared plus 8 minus 1 squared equals r squared. So 1 minus 3 minus a positive plus a negative, so that's negative 2. Negative 2 squared. Okay, negative 2 squared. Negative 2 times negative 2 gives me a positive 2, or positive 4. It's 4 plus 8 minus 1 is 7. 7 squared is 49. So this gives me 53. So now my equation of the circle is x minus 3 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals r squared, and r squared is 53. That would be the equation. Now if you wanted to, what does that mean here? Let's think about 3, 1. If your teacher said, what's the length of this segment? Today you had a formula, or at least box that in, that's what we wanted to know. You had a formula of PQ. If I just wanted to know the length of that line, remember it was, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to label these. These are x1, y1. This is x2, y2. I would encourage you to label them before you try to figure out the length of that segment. Because remember your formulation, the length of that segment PQ, and you really should put a bar over that to indicate that it's a segment. Okay, you've got x of 2 minus x of 1 squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared, and the square root of that sum. So let's take x sub 2, which was 5, minus x sub 1, which was 1 squared, plus y sub 2, which is negative 6, minus 8, okay, and the square root of that. So I've got a negative 6 minus 8 minus a positive, which is plus a negative, which is what, 14? Oh, that's squared too. Yeah, so I've got square root of 5 minus 1 is 4, 4 squared, plus 14 squared. Whoa, it's a big number. 14, negative 14 minus a positive. So 14 squared. So now I have square root of 16 plus 192. Is that right? And 196. 14, 16, 1, 4, 5, 0, 4, 1. Yeah, 196. So 196 plus 16. 6 and 6 is 12, 10, 11, 212. So the square root of 212, and that would be 14 something. Hang on. 14.56. Now you may be asking, is that right or not? I've got 8 and 6 if this thing were straight up. So I've got a 14, but it's crooked. So it's a little bit longer than it would be if it were straight. So that makes sense to me. But the point of this was take and label your x sub 2, y sub 2, x sub 1, and y sub 1 before you start the calculation, so you don't get tripped up and do the wrong numbers. Okay? All right, so that was number 5. Number 6, the big kahuna here. I enjoy math. And some people go, I hate math. I'm telling you, the technology that's here today, you need to get good at math because the future math jobs are the deal. In my role, I grew up a hog farmer, okay? Then I was a diesel mechanic for 13 years. I worked on heavy equipment, tugboats, cranes, trucks. But I was always learning, always. If I was going to be a diesel mechanic, I'd be the best diesel mechanic I could be. And I studied start-stop systems. I studied differentials, transmissions, you name it. I studied it. That led me to go to college to take an electrical class, excuse me, and for start-stop systems on refrigeration units. So I ended up, the teacher said, wow, you really need to go to college. 4 years later, I had a BS in electrical engineering. After that, a master's in business. After that, a PhD in reliability engineering. People paid me good money, and I had great jobs because of the skills I had learned. They were of value to them. So learn some skills that are of value to employers. That's where you need to be. Now, obviously, chase your passion because that's the best thing to do. And then get good at whatever that is. Get great at that. And you do that how? By studying, working hard, learning problems. Be smarter tomorrow than today, every day. Okay? All right, number 6. Equation of a circle with the center at the origin, but the circle passes through point 47. So let's draw that. What does that look like? It passes through the point 1, 2, oh, by the way, this is x and y. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, it passes through that point, but its origin is right here. So if that circle passes through that point, what does that mean? Well, that's the radius of my circle. If I could draw that, at that point. And that point was what, 4, 7? X is 4, y is 7. This is 0. What can we do here? Well, we could, why not do the segment calculation and determine what our radius is? Because our radius is the length of that line. Because our circle, it said passes through that point. Again, that looks like a potato, I know. Sorry. But that's our origin that's the center of our circle, but our circle passes through 4, 7, so that's my radius. So what do I know about that? We'll call this point P and this Q. Q is 0, 0. And this is, we'll call that x2, y2, x1, y1. All right. The length of PQ, that segment, equals square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared, and the square root of that sum. Let's fill in the blanks now. Since we've labeled these, there's x2, 4 minus x1, 4 minus 0 squared, plus y sub 2, which was 7 minus 0 squared. So that equals 4 squared plus 7 squared. That equals square root of 16 plus 49. So what is that? 50 plus 15, 65. Square root of 65. So now the equation of that circle, what do I have here? It's in the origin, 0, 0. H and K are 0. So I have x squared plus y squared equals square root 65. Oh no, yeah, square root of 65 is my radius. Oh, so that's the radius. Oh, they almost messed up. It's the radius squared. So what's the, if you have a square root, here's another, and hopefully you know this, square root of something is the same as that raised to the 1/2. Now here's a rule. If I have a to the m raised to the n power, now that's different than this. That's a to the m times a to the n, so I'm adding those. This, I'm raising that m to the power of n. If I do that, that's a to the m times n. If I take the square root, which is, in this case, 65 to the 1/2, and I square that, I have 65 raised to the 1/2 times 2. That's 2 over 1. We don't write the 1. But what does that give me? When you multiply fractions, a over b times c over d, that's ac divided by bd. I'm multiplying numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 over 2 is 1. So I have 65 to the first power, or just 65. So square root of 65 squared is 65. So I have x squared plus y squared equals 65. So I almost messed up on that, because this square root of 65 was PQ, and that equals the radius of that circle. So that would be the equation of that circle. Why are we doing this? I say this every video, together let's build a better tomorrow, and do that through math. My goal is to just help anybody that'll listen in terms of growing their skills in math. And I do that for free. I'm retired. I have spinal stenosis, so I have back problems. So after this video, I'll lay down and rest my back, okay? But any of you guys that need help, just reach out, message me through YouTube, and then we'll go from there. I'm at the mall a lot. If you pick a time, we can work problems on the table there. So again, together, let's build a better tomorrow. Do that through math. Let's keep studying, 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 studying. Work as many problems as you can. and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks.